In most phases of life, it's natural to reach a point where you're just coasting.
After an intense time of learning, that feeling can be a welcome break.
But if it lasts too long, it can hold us back from our full potential.
To keep growing, you need to continually up the challenge.
So you're probably wondering,
what's the best way to stay sharp?
How can you push for higher performance?
The simple answer is your habits.
This week's book proposes 6 habits to help kick your performance into high gear.
Seek clarity, generate energy.
Raise necessity, increase productivity.
Develop influence, and demonstrate confidence.
So let's jump right into high performance habits, how extraordinary people become that way. Welcome back. You're listening to Motivation Minute, where we unravel the timeless truths in that stack of books you've been wanting to read so that you don't have to. And this week, I'm Spencer Harrow, joined by Jariah Miller again. Welcome back, Jariah.
What's up, Spencer? And this week we have another special episode. So actually, a few episodes back, we were reviewing the book Jump by Steve Harvey. And
Right.
I was looking at my, my book summaries online, and I was learning some more information about the book. I looked up on YouTube, and I found an awesome video of someone who actually gave a very in-depth book review of that book that we were going to talk about in our podcast. And actually, he's actually on the podcast today. Welcome, Bo.
Jariah, Spencer, thank you for watching that book review, and thank you for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us, Bo. And you brought up this awesome book that we're featuring this week called High Performance Habits, and it's by Brendon Burchard. And kind of the key principle from the whole book is that to achieve high performance in any field, which is like consistent and long-term, that's how you're high performance, it boils down to having the right habits. The closest thing I thought about with this book was we read a book called Flow, I think, about...
I've read that before.
Yeah.
Like a while ago.
We read that last year. And the interesting thing from that book was, like, you're in flow, that state, when you have the intersection of the right amount of skill and the right amount of challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same kind of concept with the right habits, because when you have the right habits that drive high performance, you feel fully immersed, you're enjoying the task you're doing, and you're confident you'll be able to figure things out. And that's something I really liked from this book.
The habits keep you in a state of flow.
Yeah.
That's very true. And I thought an interesting point is that, like, his habits are for people that are looking to be very successful, but also to be happy as they make their accomplishments and as they succeed.
Yeah.
So it's not just about success. It's about, like, maintaining your happiness and, like, your health and relationships and, like, living a well-rounded life as well.
And these are like mental / like psychological habits that he talks about in the book.
Yeah, it's like personal and social. I think he broke it down into those categories.
Yeah. Like 3 of them were personal, and then 3 were social. Then it's like 6 total.
How about we kick it off with our favorite habit? I mean,
It's
they're probably all the
hard
same.
to pick, man.
It's hard to pick, isn't it?
It's really hard to pick.
Yeah, I wrote down 4, which means that 2 didn't make my cut. But my top one is raising necessity. The reason why is the principle there was be deeply curious, not just passionate about things, but obsessed with the topic. And here's what I found really interesting. The author gave this equation for how you become confident. And he says it's competence at the learning plus congruency, where you're real with others and not just faking it, plus being a connector, where you see the value in others. Take all that, put it in parentheses, and multiply it times curiosity. Curiosity is the multiplier. So, like, the more curious you are, the more potential for success you have. That is interesting.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. You know what? It was really hard for me to choose as well, but I am going to also have to say raise necessity was my favorite one.
We got 2 votes for raise necessity.
Because a lot of the other ones I knew that I was already doing. I kind of already knew about them. But raise necessity was something, like, I'm already doing it, but I didn't realize that I was doing it.
Uh-huh.
Like, the whole concept of my YouTube channel, Whatever Takes Motivation, is that to achieve big things, you have to do whatever it takes for any of your goals. And to do whatever it takes, you have to raise necessity and believe that it's like a necessity, that it's an absolute must
right
that you need to succeed. And did you see the part about the 4 ways that people make something a necessity? So he had 4 ways that people make something a necessity. And one of them was identity. Like tie what you do into your identity.
Who you are.
Like who you are. That makes it like impossible to give up because like this is who you are. Like you can't do anything else. Your identity.
And it said like most people are scared to attach their identity to their performance, or it's like I've almost seen it like, oh, you shouldn't make what you do your identity, but I guess in some ways you should.
Yeah, it is scary. It can be, but for me at least, it's the most motivational thing that you can do to get the work done. But at the end of the day, it's like it's impossible to stop doing something that's who you are.
Then it's part of you to do a good job, to be a high performer. It's who you are. It's like you have to do it. And I think
it's really difficult to do that in a career that isn't your passion.
True. So that's why passion's important with what you pick. Because I'm thinking like failure. Why would you want to wrap your identity up in what you do? Because if you failed, that means your identity failed, which is a real crisis. But maybe it's more than just because you could like compartmentalize your career completely or your passion, but then it's not really your passion anymore.
I totally know what you mean.
It's off to the side.
Yeah, and I think if it's not something that you love, like if you're just forcing yourself to go to work, it then becomes really difficult for you to say this is attached to who I am. So I think passion and raising necessity just go hand in hand.
Yeah, that was also one of my top habits, but the one I think I'll pick is number 6, which was demonstrate courage. And it said that high performing people understand that struggling is part of the process, and when hard times come, they understand that they're okay with that. They're okay with people doubting, judging them. Like he talked about identity as well. Like they know who they are. It said, a quote was, "They honor the struggle as necessary to forge the kind of character that will help them deserve the outcome they desire," which I was interesting. That. They deserve it. They understand that they're responsible, that they have to go through the hard things and deserve the outcome they desire.
Which is like last week's book. It starts with you, where it's really your decision. Yeah. It's your decision to embrace the struggle so that you can hit the goals you're after.
Yeah, that was demonstrate courage was another good one. I thought his definition of courage was good. It's like taking action, like not in absence of fear and danger, but like in spite of danger and fear. Like there's danger, there's fear, there's stakes, there's like consequences, bad things that can happen, but you still decide to take action. And that's what courage is.
Rather than not taking action until you have to.
Yeah, and he said like high performers do that more than most people. They'll just take action regardless of like what can go wrong.
Interesting. It said they don't just accept that it'll be hard, but they appreciate that working through the hard times is like necessary, which makes you less afraid. So it's like, even though it seems like a negative viewpoint, like, oh, hard things are going to happen. But no, actually, if you accept that and you work through it, and you realize it's necessary, it actually makes you less afraid or makes you more prepared, I guess.
It's having that mindset of like you're staying ahead of yourself. So like he brought up 3 questions in the book that you could ask yourself at the end of the day. Like, did I live fully? Did I love openly? Did I make a difference?
Yeah.
Which is a great way to sum it up. Live, love, difference. And if that's a mindset where you're in front, you're making the decision to act first versus let the situation act on you.
So you have a hunger for like learning, or just like learning, like absorbing any new information. And would you say that's a unique trait that you have as far as like just looking for information, reading books, not being skeptical, I guess, of like, oh, this is some scam, self-help, crap.
I've heard that from like a lot of people, like family, friends, who will have that cynical, skeptical attitude about self-help or motivation. But for me, it was like it was like something that I did during my hard times and during my dark
Uh-huh.
times in terms of like
Hmm.
depression, mental health struggles. Um, in 2011, like at a low point in my life, I
Okay.
gravitated towards motivational content and I read books and I looked at videos online and I looked at motivational self-development content, and that was what helped me like get through the hardest moments of my life.
Wow, that is incredible.
So because of that, it became like part of who I am.
Yeah. Which, as a person, you are enthusiastic. And that's one of the principles in the book
Mm-hmm.
about generating energy.
Yeah.
And so enthusiasm is really cool. I like to think that I'm an enthusiastic guy too about what I do because I like to bring joy into whatever I'm learning. And it really frustrates me when people are not enthusiastic
Yeah.
about things. There's this guy at work. He like every time he learns something, he's sucking the energy out of the room, literally. He so he has a problem he has to solve. So what he does is he troubleshoots it, but then he tells you all the terrible stuff about how the troubleshooting went and all that he found out and how bad this thing is that he works with. And it makes it seem worse and worse. Versus the opposite thing you could do is actually like enjoy what you're doing and what you're learning because you'll get somewhere faster and actually keep other people interested that way.
Yeah, I really identify with that part, like the generate energy. Like every successful person that I look up to has a ton of energy.
Yeah,
Like Will
that's true.
Smith,
Oh
Gary
yeah,
Vee,
love Will Smith.
like all the motivational people, Tony Robbins, Brendon Burchard, Eric Thomas, like all these guys have the most energy. And I think it's true. That's part of what it is. That
Yeah,
Yeah,
cut the energy out of the message and you're
exactly.
probably not interested
I
anymore.
wouldn't even
Yeah,
watch. Exactly.
yeah.
Right.
Well, I noticed in your videos, yeah, you have a lot of energy and passion. Like it shows in your videos,
Hmm.
and yeah. So you have a YouTube channel called Whatever It Takes Motivation, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you mentioned so like the motivation was kind of part of who you are because of what the times that you went through with it. Like I had kind of a similar story. You just look at like finding hope, I guess. Like I honestly think self-help is amazing. Like
I
some people
agree.
are skeptical or just they don't get it, I guess. But anyway, so like what do you do exactly on your YouTube channel? What type of content do you make, or like I guess what inspires you to do your YouTube, and because you want to eventually do that full time, right?
Absolutely. So one of the first types of videos that got me into YouTube was, I don't know if you've seen them before. I call them cinematic motivation videos. It's like
Yeah.
a short video with stock footage or footage from movies and
Yep.
commercials, and there's
Yep.
music in the background and there's a speaker in the background.
I like those. Yeah.
Yeah, so I edit those and I watch those like every day.
No way.
Yeah, around 2013, I just started watching these like
That's
every day.
cool because it seems like cheesy or it's like that's just whatever. But I've noticed that from watching those videos, it actually motivates you to like. It makes you motivated. Like you hear the things often enough.
Hmm.
It's like, and you like whatever you want to call it. Like it's just like creating a habit in your mind
It
of like,
stirs up your emotion. Yeah, it's like a combination of like the energy of the video and then the information that the speakers are telling you.
and you said you do it every day, which if you just do it once, yeah, that's not going to do anything. It's like getting hyped up and nothing. But if you consistently do it,
Hmm.
that's great. It makes a difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, whenever I'm in like a bad mood or I feel like unmotivated, I just watch one of those videos.
So I'm a little skeptical of these videos.
Uh huh.
I feel like they're slightly fake
Hmm.
because it's not real footage that the guy took sometimes, and
Yeah.
it's like it's
Sure.
with just a scripted voiceover. So
Hmm.
why does it work? Like what does it do for you?
Well, for me, it depends on the video. Like
Okay.
the speakers have to be coming from like a genuine place, and they
Hmm.
have to be speaking something like that's authentic to their lives and something that's like
So from
truthful, something
them,
that I see as true.
Yeah.
yeah.
And not
There.
every speaker is going to like fit under that, what I think is true or that I identify with. But usually, like the top speakers will be the most genuine people, like Les Brown. You guys know Les Brown?
For yeah, a little bit.
No.
You should definitely look up Les Brown.
Okay.
Les Brown, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins. Everyone knows Tony. Those guys, I think the reason like they're at the top is because they're genuine, they're authentic. They're not trying to like sell you on anything. They're not scam people. They're legitimately just trying to help.
Yeah.
And I can kind of like sense that.
Same here. Because I have seen stuff with like whether it's, network marketing people who are like giving you this fake, stuff about success and you can optimize your life or blah blah blah. There's a little bit of that cheesy stuff out there.
There's a lot of that. Yeah, that's true.
or trying to get into it too fast and teach people when you haven't really learned yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a guy, Ty Lopez, who used to really annoy the heck out of people.
Really?
I don't know if you saw his ad. He had an ad where he would be standing in his garage and there would be some Lamborghinis there. And he's like, here in my garage, I've got these Lamborghinis, but you know what I like better than Lamborghinis? Knowledge. And there's like a bookcase behind him.
It's funny. Ty Lopez was actually one of the people that actually first got me motivated to like start my own business.
So it had the opposite effect on Jiraiya.
Yeah. I mean, I think once you get to know him, he's like the real deal. But he'll turn people off.
And part of the thing that makes self-help work is when the person is genuine, like we've been talking about. And part of that comes from when you increase productivity. Another tip in the book.
Yeah.
Getting insanely good at key skills.
Yep.
And it's the opposite of the mindset of, I hope that I'll maybe get better at this sometime, which is like what I'd say the majority of the workforce, career-wise, thinks, and maybe is just trying to grow versus like deeply invested in growth. And the interesting thing the book brings up is that when you're a high performer, you're a specialist. You're not knowing a little bit about everything, a generalist. You are making deep knowledge dives into your area.
I thought that was a cool part of the book where he talked about gaining skills, and he talked about like the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like if you have the growth mindset, you believe that you can grow. So then you're actually looking to get skills because you believe you can grow. But if you have the fixed mindset, you think like your abilities are fixed. So you're never going to look for opportunities to grow because you think you're just going to not make a difference no matter what you do.
So grow versus fixed. I'm curious. You said you're a realtor, right? When we were talking earlier. So how does that work as a realtor? Can you grow? Or are you fixed? Because it seems like realtors a zero-sum game. There's only a certain number of houses and a certain number of people selling. How do you get better at your game?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of innate potential and growth mindset.
Okay.
Like you can grow, anyone can grow, but there's certain people that are just going to come in and just sell 100 homes and do really well. But then there's people that are going to come in and do 10 homes and they can gain the skills and put in the work and put in the practice and learn the information to be able to do 100 homes, but it's going to take them longer to get there. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's kind of like the default mindset that we start with is the fixed mindset, where whether it's with real estate or anything, it's like, oh, there's only a certain amount of things, possibilities, and I probably can't do it, and it's like we just believe that we're just kind of stuck in the same level. We don't, and that's what it comes down to is, yeah, it's so simple, growth versus fixed, but just believing that there are opportunities, that there are possibilities, and that completely changes how you do everything.
Well, it's been awesome to have you join us on the podcast, Bo. Thanks for coming on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's been a pleasure. Absolutely keep up the fantastic work, and I'm sure we'll like collaborate more.
Yeah,
oh yeah, and
totally.
We'll check out his YouTube channel, Whatever It Takes Motivation, where you can see his new cinematic motivation videos he was talking about.
It's catching on.
That's right. And some book reviews, which hopefully you're going to ramp up again soon, I think you said.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look out for a book review on this book, High Performance Habits, coming soon.
How about that?
Yeah.
And
can you believe it? A competing book review?
Watch our podcast first.
Friendly book review. Friendly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you for listening as well. And if you want to hear a book like this, we do it every week. Just tap subscribe and you won't miss any action. Check out our survey at motivationminute.com and click the survey button. We'd love to hear the books you want to hear. And you can even be considered as a guest on the podcast like Bo here. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.